Hello, welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay, the guy that's stopping by for a drink and conversation today was a unanimous All-American in his final season at the University of Oklahoma. He was NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2007. He was NFL MVP in 2012, a 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro, unanimous All-Decade of the 2010s, 3-time rushing leader, 2-time touchdown rushing leader, all day, Adrian Peterson.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
AP, what's going on, bro?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good, feeling rejuvenated, feeling fresh.
You're coming off of year 14. What have you learned about your body and what do you want to do?
Well, I've learned about my body is, taking care of it really pays dividends.
Right.
So like this, out of all my years, this probably has been the best off season, coming out, no injuries, nothing nagging, just feeling really good and feeling fresh, so I look forward to continue to play this game as long as possible.
So listening at you talk now, you say you feel refreshed, you're rejuvenated, you went into the offseason, you don't really have any injuries. So it sounds like you're leaning towards coming back for year 15.
Yes, sir, definitely. One thing I've always told myself is I want to play this game to the point where I'm able to retire on my own, if my body starts telling me something different, then, I'll shut it down a little earlier. But, when I look back, I want to know that I put my best effort out there. I gave everything I had, and I was still able to play at a high level.
You said your body will tell you. With your training, it was reported that you used to train 5.5 hours a day. How have your training changed as you've aged in the NFL?
I've cut back. I can't say I'm the same like I was when I was 20-something years old.
Was that the hardest thing? Because I knew that the thing that hurt me is that as I started to age, I still tried to do the same volume. I tried to do the same intensity, and it was killing my quads. It was killing my hamstrings. I didn't understand. I felt great, but my body just couldn't take that. Is that what you're finding out? That you, as much as you want to, you just can't train like you could in your 20s?
Yeah. It's different, especially like the main thing for me is the recovery.
Right.
The recovery aspect of it is it's a lot longer,
Right.
I just can't snap back like I used to, so I try to do things like pool workouts, Pilates I picked up on a lot, and to kind of tweak some of the things that I'm doing.
You mentioned a couple of years back that you would like to try to play until your 40s. If I'm not mistaken, you're going to be 36 in a couple of months here. Do you still have aspirations of playing until your 40s as a running back?
I do.
Now, that's different than playing until your 40s as a quarterback.
Exactly. And people say it all the time, but Tom Brady, he's 43. I'm like, hey, totally different positions, man. You can barely cut those quarterbacks, and they throwing the flag. I got 11 guys coming at me. So
would you like, it seems to me that, and we're going to talk about this a little later, that the Lions, you've just finished your last season with the Lions. It seems like they're going in a rebuilding mode. Is that something that you want to be a part of? I know you want an opportunity to compete for a title. Do you believe the Lions will present that opportunity for you next year?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because like the quarterback situation that just took place, them bringing in what's his name,
Jared Goff.
I don't know how he'll fit within that offense. I feel like they have the tools offensively, but there's a lot of guys that they were on it last year. Marvin Jones, I don't know, Galladay. If these guys are not coming back, then it's really going to be a rebuilding, situation. And of course, that's not something that I would, love to be a part of. But, at the end of the day, it's like, who's going to give me an opportunity to come in and play?
Right.
So that's really the most important thing. Obviously, being on a great team is what I would prefer, to have the opportunity to chase a championship. But at the end of the day, if that doesn't present itself, then I'm still trying to play this game at a high level and help the team try to accomplish that goal.
Are you surprised the Lions traded Matthew Stafford, considering that what he was with that organization and how well he has played over the years? Are you surprised that they made this move?
Yeah, I was surprised. It was interesting that I was talking to my dad about this the other day, that it was a mutual, understanding. Decision. I was like, that's very interesting. Taking that, a couple other guys that played there that they didn't have that opportunity.
Well, that's the way of saying that one party wanted to leave. They said it was mutually. It's kind of like a relationship. When we get a divorce, it was a mutual parting of the ways. Nah, somebody said we wanted out in the same face. We both wanted out.
Yeah. So, that was an interesting move.
So, what are your expectations? Do you believe that Matthew Stafford coming to the Rams gives them an opportunity to win the title, considering what they have around him, both offensively and defensively, and the great mind of Sean McVay?
Yeah, I do. When they made the move, I was like, you know what, that was a win for the Rams, because you think about Matthew Stafford and his game and being around him for a year. He's a very smart, quarterback. Some of the decisions that he made throughout the season, was kind of questionable. But I think that kind of stemmed from his he's so competitive, and he'll hold on to that ball at the very last second. And sometimes it kind of costs us, 4 or 5 yards here. And our defense, we didn't have that type of defense that the Rams have, that they get 3 and out quick. They can overcome that. So for his style, and I'm sure he also pressed a little more because, defensively we really weren't stout. So I think he was more in the mode of he had to make something happen.
Right.
So being with the Rams, it's a totally different, environment that he's going to be around. He's going to have way more opportunities. He's not going to feel like he has to, force different things. So I
have to make every play.
Yeah, he don't have to do that now. So I think it's going to be a really, really good move for him.
You mentioned Tom Brady earlier. Tom Brady is 43, playing in his 10th Super Bowl. He said about 4 or 5 years ago, he said he'd like to play to 45. They asked him the other day, he said, yeah, I might be interested in playing beyond 45. Does that give you hope that Tom Brady thinks about playing to 45, maybe beyond? Does that give you that, 40 might not be out of the possibility, but that's a long ways away. That's 5 years. That's 5 years for you.
Yeah. But it does, it does. Like when I look at guys like Tom Brady, Drew Brees.
Drew Brees played, 42.
I'm just like, that's for me, that's motive. Even though I understand that we play different positions, based on how I know my body feels, like that still is motivation for me. It's like, you know what? These guys are, doing the impossible, so why can't I?
Why do you believe Tom has been so successful for so long to be able to play at this level? It doesn't matter the system. It doesn't matter the players around him. It seems it doesn't matter the coach, that he's able to maintain and perform at a very high level. What do you think are some of the keys to his success?
I would say number one is his mental, is his mindset. You just hear him talk to guys, and like, for instance, after they won the NFC Championship game, I heard one of the linebackers, he was saying that it was some guys crying, or he was shedding a couple tears, and Tom Brady was like, what the fuck you crying for? It ain't over.
Right.
So just like having that type of mindset, a lot of guys don't have it, and it's clear that his work ethic has allowed him to play to 43. And I would say that's A, B, you know what I'm saying? I mean, 1B, as far as the work that you put in, because in anything you do, I've always been a firm believer in this, is you get out what you put in, so you can tell that not only is he a student of the game, but he works his mechanics, and he's still been doing it for a long time, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who's retiring first, you or Frank Gore?
Frank Gore.
You gonna wait him out?
I got to. He already 2 years. He got 2 years over me right now, so I'm playing catch up.
Look, let's stop beating around the bush. We know what you want. You want that 18,355 held by Emmitt Smith. That's what you want. Let's be real. Let's be all the way 100. That's what you want.
That is what I want. But I can't sit here and say I want that more than a championship. Right. I definitely want a championship, but to sit here and say that 18 is, passing Emmitt is not something that I'm chasing to, I would be lying to you. I definitely want to do that.
But the thing is, the question that I have for you is that, do you think you're going to get the opportunities? Because you're a little over 4,000 yards away. Are you going to get the opportunities? Are you going to get the carries that's going to give you the number to get to that?
I think it's possible. I really do. I really do. Get into a situation where, I'm getting 200 carries, 160 carries, making the best of those opportunities is all I can ask for, So I feel like that opportunity can present itself.
But if you're getting that fewer carries, you used to 300 carries. Yeah. So you're gonna have to average 4.5, 5 yards on that 150 to 200.
I already know. Hey, so my mindset into this offseason has been, you know what? I've been reflecting back on the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm just like, you know what? Like what I said earlier, you get out what you put in. I've grinded the last couple of years, but I haven't put the work in that I know I'm capable of putting in. So from that standpoint, I know that when this season come around, when I'm presented with the opportunity, it's going to be something totally different than what I've shown the past couple of years.
You mentioned you haven't put the work over the last couple of off seasons that you can. Was it because of injuries, or were there other things going on that prevented you from doing that?
Yeah, there was definitely other things going on that prevented me from doing that, and I just had to sit back and reflect on those things and eliminate those things, those distractions, and, come into this offseason with a totally different mindset.
There were some situations, and we don't have to relive, we know what transpired. You got suspended, you was on the commissioner's exempt list 2014. So that's 15, 16 games you missed. You got an injury about week 3, 1 year. So that's another 13 games. Do you believe, had you been able to fulfill those seasons, you would be a lot closer? You probably say maybe 1,000 yards, 500 yards behind where you need to be right now if you were able to play in those seasons?
Without a doubt. I definitely believe that, that's something that I've thought about on several occasions. It's like, I really missed.
That's what keeps you up at night, isn't it? Knowing that you missed 30 games and basically in your prime, when you were all day and you were getting the lion's share, you were getting 250, you were getting 300 carries, and you were averaging 4.5 yards a carry, and you were 14, 15, 1,600 yards, and you extrapolate that over 2 years, you're a lot closer now. You would have been a lot closer now than what you are currently.
Without a doubt. That's something that I've laid in the bed some nights and been like, man, just what if I would have been able to play those, those 30 games? Yeah, I'll definitely be sitting in a different position right now, and really, at 30, turning 36 here soon, approaching Emmitt Smith.
I said something on air in 2018, and you took offense with it, and we're going to get your thought process, and I'm going to give you why I said what I said. I said that AP can have a game, and as we start to get older, and I was one of those guys, I wasn't as great a player as you, but as I got older, I could have spot games. I could go get 100, couple of touchdowns, maybe once every month, but to be able to do that consistently, that's where I felt, and I felt I didn't believe that you were going to get the opportunities that you have been afforded in Minnesota, the lion's share of your career. AD, all the carries you want, as much as you can take, you take them. Knowing that you were going to New Orleans and you're going to have to split carries with Alvin Kamara, knowing that you were going to other places, and now all of a sudden, I didn't feel that you were going to get the opportunities to showcase what you could really do. You felt that I was taking a dig at you, I think. Yeah. Why did you think I was taking a dig?
Okay, so I didn't see it from that perspective,
Okay.
So So when it came across to me, it was more so like, like everyone else, that's what it kind of fell into that category of, oh, he's too old. He's not going to be able to be productive and produce, because we've seen, other elite players of this caliber that once they got to that age, they weren't able to be successful and have success.
But I tried to explain it. I said, yeah, as we get older, I don't believe, I didn't believe you could still be as dominant. But one of the reasons why you weren't going to get the opportunity to do that, you're going to be subtracting 100 carries. Well, 100 carries, even if you're only averaging 4 yards, that's 400 yards. Well, 400 yards, you extrapolate that over 3-4 years, that's 1,200-1,400 yards, which is closer to your ultimate goal.
No, so hearing you saying it now, I don't know what clip I read. I see. So I understand your perspective, when you explain like that. But then I also took it personal too, because I've always been a fan of yours,
Right.
I looked up, and I still do.
So you thought I was taking a shot at you?
Yeah, I'm like, man, this is my favorite tight end of all time.
No. I understand that me being the person and me being the player that I am, that when I speak, it carries a little more weight than somebody that didn't play the game or didn't play the game at a high level. So I'm very cautious. I'm very mindful of what I say and how I say it, because I understand I've been on the other side. I've been sitting where Adrian Peterson is sitting. And so to hear former players say things, especially ones that's played at a very high level, they carry a little bit more weight. And so that's why I was trying to be mindful to try to explain. You have to understand, yeah, he's in year 12, but is he going to get the same opportunities? Now, Alvin Kamara's down there coming off an outstanding rookie season. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to share carries with Adrian Peterson. With Alvin. He goes somewhere else. He's going to have to share carries. He's not the bell cow back anymore. And so I think when they brought it to you, they basically said, well, Shannon Sharp said you washed up. See, that's how they told you it. But they didn't explain the rest of the part of what I was saying.
Exactly. And that's how it normally goes too. You explain it just like you explain it, but then the headline will be something totally different.
You grew up in a small town, Palestine, Texas. What was it like growing up in that small town? And did you always know you wanted to be an NFL player?
I did, very small town. I remember playing, I'll never forget the first time I started playing football, organized football. I was at my grandmother's house. It was like 7 o'clock. My grandpa was up drinking coffee, we were reading the newspaper. My granny was outside watering the flowers, and my dad pulled up. And she came in. She was like, your dad said, put some clothes on, put some shoes on. He's finna take you somewhere. So I put my shoes on, and we're driving. And it looked like we're exiting. We're leaving Palestine.
Right.
And we're going towards the complex. I remember it being out there. And then he makes that right turn. He was like, yeah, I'm taking you up here. I'm finna sign you up for football. So that's when I first started playing organized football. And from that point, I can't say from that point, because before then it was street ball. It was just being out with the friends and stuff like that. I always know I had some talent, but once I got into the organized football, that's when I was really able to open my eyes and realize that, hey, I can really do something if I continue to work and continue to grind, with the sport. But Palestine, it was a small town. Everyone knows everyone there.
Right.
I have, on my dad's side, I have 4 uncles and 4 aunts. And then on my mom's side, it's five uncles and 4 aunts as well. So you can just imagine all my family members.
Right.
So just growing up in that type of environment, always having, someone around you, someone disciplining you, putting, leading you in the right direction,
right,
giving advice and stuff like that. I think that is what helped shape me and mold me into, the man that I am today. So yeah, but then when it come back to the football aspect of it, at a young age playing Little League football, that's when I realized and understood that, hey, I look past college and everything else. I was like, I'm gonna play in the NFL.
You come from good pedigree. Your mom was a 3-time state track champ. She got a scholarship at University of Houston. Your dad was a shooting guard at Idaho State who had his career cut short by being accidentally shot in the leg by his brother. So your mom ran track. Your dad played basketball. You love football. What was of the sports that you played growing up? Probably basketball, track and field, football. Which was your favorite growing up?
football and track was right there neck to neck.
Right.
You know, basketball, I'm not gonna lie. Like I was a defense player. You know, like I was.
So you coming in and get them 5 fouls and get up out of there, huh?
Hey, I'm gonna give you some good defense, couple blocks. You know, I'm gonna get you 10 points just off a hustle.
Okay.
You know, some rebounds, put back up or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, my basketball game was terrible. If I got a steal, I'm dribbling straight right hand. You know? But track was my love.
There was also some tragedy that happened in your life early on. Your older brother got hit by a drunk driver when you were 7, and night before the combine, your half brother was shot and killed. Talk to me about the impact that those events, tragic events, had on your life.
You know, we'll start with my older brother who passed when I was 7. You know, that situation was really, really tough, you know, and it's not something that I've never sat down and talked. Like, you know, my wife's telling me all the time, I think you need to talk, you know, to a counselor or something, just to kind of let it go, let it out.
Right.
But I feel like it helped. It matured me at an early age, because at that time it was just me and my mom and my brother, and we were living in Dallas. And when it happened, we ended up moving back to Palestine.
Okay.
And I didn't, you know, I missed a lot of school during that time because I was there. You know, it was really tough for us. You know,
Right.
I remember we were living in my grandmother's house, and my mom, no lie, she cried for a year. It seemed like for a year straight. Every night I would be in the other room and hear her cry, and you know, I would go in there and just, hey mom, it's gonna be okay, you know. So I feel like it made me become mature at a younger age.
It forced you to become an adult probably before you should have.
Before I should have, you know. So I'm finding myself taking care of my mom and being strong for her. And I never forget, I remember telling myself, because my brother, he was way more talented than I was, you know. And I remember telling myself at that age that, you know what, I'm gonna use this as motivation, something to continue to drive me, because I know my brother, you know, I know this is what he would have wanted for me. You know, I know he, you know, we used to talk about, you know, he was like extremely fast. I was 10.3, you know, I was 20.8. I couldn't touch him. So, you know, I remember the things we used to talk about at a young age, and used to race and stuff like that. So the things that I'm going to do, I'm gonna do it for him.
Right.
You know? So fast forward to the combine, it was, I'll never forget, man. It was crazy. I woke up, it was like 2:00 in the morning, and I just woke up and I was sweating. And it was just like one of those, that feeling like something ain't right, you know? So I look at my phone and I see a couple area codes from Palestine that had called. No messages.
Calls.
Yeah, missed calls, no messages. And I didn't really think too much about it. I put the phone down. I had a big day the next day, and close my eyes and go to sleep. I wake up, now I see the text messages and the calls, and that's when I found out my brother was shot in 3rd Ward, shot in the back, got robbed. And it was just, you know, my heart just sunk. You know, it was a tough situation for me because I had to go out and compete that day. But I had remember talking to him a couple of days prior, and he was just so wired. He was like my #1 fan. He was so wired up about me being down at the combine, and, oh, I know you're going to do this, brother. I know you're going to do that. Show them, you know, who the best running back in the draft is, this, that, and another. So it, I had to just kind of suck it up, you know, and try to focus on what I was trying to accomplish that day. And you know, I think I came out and did a decent job with that, but that was probably one of the toughest situations I had to deal with.
Because the combine is a job interview. This is the big, if you play football, this is the biggest job interview you're ever gonna have. Yeah. Because you got hundreds of eyes, not just physical eyes, but electronic eyes, monitoring your every move. And you're dealing with this. And I'm not so sure, did anybody know that this had transpired, that this was going on in your mind? Because you probably didn't tell anybody.
No, I didn't say anything to anyone. You know, I just kind of just
You didn't
break.
want that. You didn't, because you felt if you had told them they might, if you don't run a good time, they're going to use that against you. Say he used that as an excuse.
Exactly. I don't need none of that. You know, he was happy that I was here. I know that he would want me to go out and continue to, you know, chase my dream. So I woke up that morning after finding out, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lock in, and you know, I'll be able to deal with this a little later once I'm done.
How do you get the nickname All Day?
You got a little taste of it earlier when my little man came in here. I told him like 3 times, do not come in here. Just full of energy, you know. I was just electric as a youngster, you know. They would give me melatonin and all that, and I bite through all that, scratch through all that. You know? And I'm experiencing it now with my little man, but that's how I got it. Got the name. I was just full of energy, always going, like the Energizer Bunny, always going.
Boy, get outside and play.
Yeah. And you would think that would work, but like I'll be saying it to him, they go outside, they'll play. My oldest that's in the house, he's 9, and they'll get out here and they'll run for hours. Axel, the youngest one, he'll come in here, take a shower, and it'll be 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Bedtime is 8. You hear him coming down the stairs. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? 2 melatonin him down. He just fighting through it.
I'm looking at what you were able to accomplish. You only played 2 years. If I'm not mistaken, you only played 2 years of high school football, right? Your junior and senior year. Mm-hmm. Was it because you weren't good enough to make the team, or what transpired that you only got to play 2 years? Because I'm looking at your numbers. Your junior year, 2,051 yards, 22 touchdowns. Your senior year, a little less than 3,000, over 11 yards a carry, 32 touchdowns. The final game, 350, 6 touchdowns, and you're signing autograph for the opposing players.
Yeah. You know, my dad got incarcerated going into my 7th grade year. And this was, I don't know how we had I don't know why we have 2 schools in Palestine, but I was going to Palestine High School, and the crosstown school was Westwood High School. That's actually the school my mom went to.
Right.
So I transferred after my 7th grade year and went to Westwood.
Right.
So my freshman year, I actually was on varsity there. It was a 3A school, a smaller school, and I tore my LCL.
Okay.
The first game. So I was out that year and came back, ran track, made the state, and then I ended up going back to Palestine. Like the football season had already started my sophomore year.
Right.
And so I played a little bit a JV. The coach there, he was from West Orange Start. I never forget. And it was clear that I was the most talented player. You know, even like we would go up against the seniors, the varsity defense.
Right.
And we would run through those guys. But he didn't move me up. So my junior year, his defensive coordinator, which his name was Jeff Hurl, he ended up becoming a head coach. And I had kind of told myself that, you know what, I'm just going to focus on track. I'm not going to really get into football. So I didn't even start training camp my junior year until my dad called me. I never forget, my stepdad woke me up. It was like 8 o'clock. He was like, hey, your dad is on the phone. And I'm like, what's up, Dad? What's going on? He's like, boy, what are you doing? I'm at the house relaxing. He was like, I was sleeping. And he was like, should you be in 2-a-days? I'm like, Dad, I don't think I'm trying to play this year. I think I'm gonna focus on track. And, you know, I think I want to go in that direction. He was like, boy, I'm gonna call those coaches tomorrow. And if they tell me you didn't come up there today, when you come see me, we're gonna have an issue. We're gonna really have a problem. I was like, all right, man. So I ended up getting up and going up there, and they told me, hey, you can come back tomorrow. And then from that moment, things just kind of took off for me. Ironically, the first game of that junior year, we played Huntsville, and the same coach, I think his name was some Thomas, that left Palestine, that came from West Orange Start. He was the head coach at Huntsville. We went down there. I had 305 yards, like 5 touchdowns, and killed their defense. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was a little revenge on my part as well, but that's kind of like what put me on the map, and it just kind of took off from that moment.
So I'm looking at your high school time. You say you ran 10.3 in the 100 meters. You ran 20.8 in the 200 meters. You were 47.6, 400 meters. So of those, what do you think your best event was? And do you believe at your apex, you could outrun Tyreek?
Tyreek?
Yeah.
I'll give him a run for his money now. Like, if I really would have, focused on track like I wanted to, because I wanted to run in Oklahoma too. But I feel like I definitely could have.
You got too big. You weigh too much.
I was like 205 in high school though.
Running that kind of time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And my favorite run was the 200, and I never really wanted to run the 400, but now that I'm older, and once I got older, I'm like the 400 would have been my race because of just my mindset and just how. That's
my favorite race.
Yeah.
From all the races, I like the 400 meters and the 4x4. That's my race.
Yeah. At 400.
There are a lot of people that believe of all the guys that played in the NFL before you and after you, they believe there were two people that could have come straight from high school and gone to the NFL, yourself and Randy Moss. Do you believe that you could have played in the NFL after your senior year in high school?
I do. I never forget going to a Cowboys game, my senior year. Once photographers invited me down and ended up going to the Cowboys game and going to the locker room and all that after the game. And I'm looking at those guys, the running back, I'm just like, he's not really, I look a little bigger than him, like, I know I'm faster than him because I just got the run of a 10.26 at state.
Right.
I'm just like, okay. And then, once I got to college, that was kind of like confirmation for me after that freshman year.
Right.
What I was able to accomplish. And you see a guy like Cedric Benson who ended up going like top 5 that year. So that could have been me,
right.
1 year out of high school. But I definitely feel like I could have came straight out of high school and played.
You had offers all over the country: USC, Texas A&M, UCLA, Arkansas, Miami, Florida. What made you choose to leave your home state and go to Oklahoma? And how many people were upset that you chose to go to across the river as opposed to stay in state?
Yeah, it was a lot of people that was hot. I'm talking about articles in the newspaper. I was like, God, can they print this? They can't print this, can they? Talking about a high school student. But the work ethic that I seen when I went on my visit to Oklahoma, that was something that pushed me to go there because I really had appreciation for how they developed their players.
Right.
And like for me, I grew up a Longhorn. I remember being in 8th grade because my uncle played, his name was Chris Smith. He played tight end for Texas when Ricky Williams was there, Priest Holmes, Applewhite. I remember being there after a spring game, looking at the stadium where I was empty, like, I'll be back here one day.
Right.
But experiencing that Red River shootout, I see a lot of guys that are from Texas that end up going to the University of Oklahoma. And I'm just like, okay, like what's the difference? Like what separates the two? The work ethic. I feel like the University of Texas had more talent, but I didn't feel like that they developed their players. And that's why Oklahoma was tapping that butt every year. So that was really the main reason. And then also I went down, and when I was talking to Matt Brown, I came to him, and this is the approach I have every coach that I sit down with. I was like, hey, the only thing I ask is, will you guys present me with an opportunity to compete for the starting job? I got Pete Carroll, I got, Nick Saban, I got, Bob Stoops telling me, yeah, if you come in, you earn a position, it's yours. We don't care if you're a rookie or not. Texas, they were like, well, Cedric Benson decided to come back for his senior year, so we're gonna show some loyalty to him because he was projected to be a top 5 pick, and we're gonna let him finish it off. And after that, of course, we'll let you compete for it.
So in other words, they said, no, we're not going to let you compete for the starting job. You wait your turn. And you said, okay, deuces, I'm going to OU.
Yeah. I didn't tell him that either. I was just like, but in my mind, I already X.
That was it.
Yep. So from that point, it came down to Oklahoma and USC. Like it was really a tough decision for me because I went out to visit Eric Bieniemy. He left Colorado because he would recruit me at Colorado. Then he went to UCLA. So let me go and holler at EB, man. So once I got up there, I was like, man, LA, nice. But if I come here, I need to go to the best school, you know?
Right.
So that's how USC came in the picture. And even with Reggie Bush, Lindell White, Herschel Dennis, the guys they had there, Pete was down in my basketball gym in Palestine shooting like, yeah, you come down, you can compete, you're on a spot. We're going to play you, you know? So it came down to just being close to the family. Oklahoma was like a 4-hour drive from my hometown.
Right.
And the development of the players and stuff too played a big role.
Why do you believe you were able to have such an immediate impact? You set an NCAA freshman record. You ran for over 1,900 yards. In 2004, you set 11 100-yard games by a freshman, and you were a unanimous All-American. Do you believe, two-part question, do you believe that you should have won the Heisman that year? And looking back at it, do you sought out some games that you said, you know what, I should have got that $2,000. I should have got 2 bands. Because that's going to be something that 2,000 yards as a freshman, somebody might come get 2,000 after that, but I would have been the first to do it.
Yeah. Definitely, that crossed my mind before. I'm like, man, I was so close. I could have easily got, 2,000. Things would have just played out a little different for me. But I was so young then, I was just having fun and trying to win championships, So that was like the most important thing for me. But for when it comes to the Heisman Trophy, I definitely feel like I should have been the first freshman to ever win. I feel like they robbed me. I had the most votes by a freshman at that point ever. It finished in second place, and it was just, for me, it kind of helped me out. That situation helped me out a lot too when it came to how people perceive you or how people view you and your talent, because it told me a lot. It was like, okay, I'm up for the Heisman Trophy. Me, Jason White, Reggie Bush, and
Matt
Leinart, and Alex Smith. So I'm like, I'm up. I finished second, and then I don't win the Doak Walker Award. So I'm just scratching my head. I'm like, how do Cedric Benson win it? So like, I feel like I got robbed for the Heisman, and then not only
got robbed for Doak Walker.
Got robbed for Doak Walker too. I was like, man, I don't care about these awards, man. You know what? I'm just gonna focus on getting to the NFL, and then I'll go from there. But definitely got robbed.
You played that team in the national championship game, and people were expecting the game to be close, and it was really never close. No. What transpired? Why were you guys so outplayed, so thoroughly defeated in that game?
I think USC came in with a different mindset than us. Me being there and present during the week, it was a lot of guys that they weren't locked in. We were down in Miami. Guys were, breaking curfew. Not a lot of guys, but just things like that you shouldn't have. You in that type of environment, playing for a national championship. So guys were breaking curfew. I seen guys meet with agents and things like that. And we started off good. We scored first, and end up getting the ball back and stopping them. And I think it was a punt. That's what it was. They punted the balls to us, and our punter dropped the ball. Well, it bounced like towards the 10, 15-yard line, and he tried to pick it up, and they hit him and got the ball and ended up scoring maybe like a play later. And then we came back the next drive, and I don't know what Jason White was thinking. He just threw the ball up in the air, and I don't know what he was thinking. And they ended up picking it, and it was just like the momentum just changed.
Right.
And it just went downhill. That was the first time I had ever been a part of feeling like guys gave up. Like, I actually felt like guys gave up during that game.
Your final game, a lot of people remember the Fiesta Bowl, the Statue of Liberty with Boise State. Did you know going into that game, when did you know that I'm out of here, I'm declaring for the draft? Did you know going into the game, or it was after the game, after you lost, that you said, okay, I'm out?
I knew before the game. I knew before the game because I broke my collarbone earlier that year,
Right.
and I had missed the rest of the season, and I came back and played in that game. That was my first game back in like weeks. And so during that time, I had a lot of time to just reflect on the past couple of years and how things had went. And I was just like, that collarbone could have easily been an ACL, could have easily been something else that, now they're like, okay, he for sure has to come back and has to prove himself. So it could have went a lot of different ways.
Right.
And then I remember talking to my running back coach, Kel Gundy, and I was like, Coach, what's your thought? What do you think? You think I should come back for my senior year or go ahead and go? He was like, you got to go. He said, as much as I would love for you to come back and play, I wouldn't be, being 100 with you and being real with you if I told you to come back for your senior year, so I was like, okay, so that was something that kind of helped me make that decision as well. And go ahead and enter into the NFL. So here's a funny story a lot of people don't know about.
Okay.
So I came back for the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
The second series, I remember taking a hit. And I'm just like, God, it was my first time playing since the collarbone, right?
Right.
I didn't really think too much of it. Played the rest of the game. Later on at night, my neck like literally swelled up. Like all this was swollen, right?
Wow.
And it ended up, subsiding, and it went down by the next day. So I didn't think much about it at all. It wasn't painful or anything. So I get down to Arizona, the API, I was training there. So I'm probably like a month and a half into training, doing bench press and all that. And one day I was just like, this collarbone just feels weird, not getting my full range of motion. So I just went to see a doctor to just get it checked out. I had re-broke it.
Wow.
Yes, I had re-broke my collarbone. So when I was at the combine and all that, my collarbone was still broke. It was still healing, going through that process. And that was like one of the red flags that I had because they knew that it was still cracked.
Wow.
At that time. Yeah.
I'm looking back at your draft, and the draft is known for who went number one because he didn't pan out, Jamarcus Russell. But if you look at who went number two, Calvin Johnson is going to the Hall of Fame. Joe Thomas is going to go to the Hall of Fame. You were the 7th pick in the draft. You're going to the Hall of Fame. Darrelle Revis is going to go to the Hall of Fame. You got Marshawn Lynch was in that draft. Patrick Willis was in that draft. You guys had some players in that draft.
Yeah, we were deep.
I mean, people look at, Jamarcus didn't pan out. Gaines Adams didn't pan out. Levi Brown was okay. LaRon Landry, nah, he didn't do too much. Greg Olsen had a great career. But you guys are going to have 4 or 5 Hall of Famers in that draft class.
Yeah, that's something I think about sometimes. Like, man, you know what? We can compete with a lot of different draft classes. We had some guys that put in some work and were really like, Calvin Johnson. I can't say he's the best of all time, because you got Miles. He up there though, So we had guys like that. Even Patrick Willis. Willis will retire early. We up here comparing him to Ray Lewis.
Joe Thomas went to a bunch of Pro Bowls, All Pro a bunch of times. Yep. Let's talk about your rookie season. Your rookie year, you set an NFL record with the most yards in a single game, 296. Also, you had 200-yard rushing game that season. Talk to us about your rookie year. What were your expectations going into it? And in that game, did you know that game was going to be special? Because sometimes you get a feeling like, man, you get a big run, you get a nice carry, you're like, this might be the day here. So did you know that game was going to be the game?
I didn't. I can't say I did. I didn't. But I went into that season and I was just like, you know what? I had so much confidence in myself because of the work that I had put in. I was just hungry I'm here now finally, right? So I had the confidence. But that game in particular, it felt different, especially that first half, because the offensive line, they were doing a great job. I found myself being too fast in some situations, which end up, hurting the play. Right. And I remember talking to the offensive line and telling those guys, like, Hutch, man, listen, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. Like, it's going to hit, like, I should have been more patient to let this play. It was outside zone play. Could have taken 50.
Let it develop.
Let it develop. I said, but you guys keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna get on track. And went into halftime. I think we had like 40 some yards rushing as an offense, and then came out the second half, and it was just like, I don't know. It felt like an out of body experience. You know, it was like I was so locked in, and everything was just working out. It seemed like everything just kind of fell in line, and the big runs just started ripping. And before I knew it, here we are in the fourth quarter. I got 296 yards. You know.
Do you wish you had went back in and got one more carry and got 3 bills?
Without a doubt.
And that's what I tell people. I say, you don't understand. I mean, at the time you're like, nah, but then you look back at it, and then somebody gets 297 or somebody gets 298, 300. That's the benchmark, because somebody's gonna get it. But to say who's the first guy to ever rush for 300 yards in an NFL game?
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. So yeah. Why do you think you were able to have so much success your rookie season?
I think just the guys that were surrounding me, and I felt like the coaches really put me in a great position. And then just me and my mindset, I wanted to go out there and prove to the organization, my teammates, that I'm putting my best foot forward to help us win a championship, chase a championship.
2009 was as close as you came to getting to the Super Bowl and possibly competing for that. Mm-hmm. You guys signed Brett Favre. What was it like playing with Favre? And did you think that was going to be the season that was going to get Adrian Peterson to a Super Bowl and possibly win the championship?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the season, especially once he stepped into that building and we got out there for that first practice, and seeing how he was able to operate our offense. It was like, okay, that's pretty much what we were missing, because our defense was stellar. Big Pat Williams, we had, the Henderson, Chad Greenway, the linebacker position, Antoine Winfield Sr. Like we were stacked. Safety, Sharper, like we was good on defense. Offensively, we had a lot of pieces too, and we just needed a quarterback.
Right.
So Barr came in there, and he's just like being that leader and being, the veteran that he was able just to transform our offense into a machine where we was working and everything was clicking on all cylinders, and we was just able to do some incredible things offensively. And with that type of defense, it was like, okay, there's no reason we shouldn't, make it to the NFC Championship game and win a Super Bowl, So, but just having the opportunity to play with Brett, man, it really taught me a lot. His locker was right next to mine, so I was able just to see how he carried himself, how he was. He was just like one of the other guys. He was cool, cracked jokes, messed with guys, and just had a great personality. And that's kind of what I assumed from watching the interviews and just watching them interact and stuff. And it was just a blessing to be able to play with him those 2 years and just have that experience with him.
You played the NFC Championship game in New Orleans, and it would later become known as the Bounty Gate. Did you think they were playing dirty? Did you suspect anything was going on, or you thought it was just hard-nosed, clean football? They were just, hey, everybody wants to get to the ultimate goal, reach the Super Bowl, and this is what it's going to take. They're in our way. Let's try to just play hard, tough football, snap the whistle, and leave it at that? Or did you like, hold on, man, these hits coming a little late. They coming a little low.
Yeah, I thought it was these guys out there playing ball.
Right.
I felt like there was like one or two dirty hits on Brett that was questionable, as far as it was late. But outside of that, shoot, we were laying that wood. They were laying the wood as well.
Right.
And it felt like it was a tough, hard-fought game.
2011, day before Christmas, played in Washington, carried just like you carried the ball 1,000 times in the NFL before. They hand the ball off to you. Did you know when you got hit that something was wrong? When did you realize something was wrong?
Immediately. As soon as I got hit, I knew. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew that I was done. I was done for sure.
Because you had you ever had knee issues before?
No, not like that. I had the LCL in high school.
Okay.
Before that.
Right. So you tore your ACL and your MCL, which is the day before Christmas. The season's going to start back up. You got OTAs going to probably start up in April. You got mini camps that's going to start in May, June, and you got training camps that's going to start late July. Why were you so determined? I'll be back in 8 months. Why were you so determined? Because that's normally guys come back, but they're not the same. You came back better. And now the gold standard of anybody coming back from ACL is Adrian Peterson.
I think the one thing that really pushed me the most is just like all the negative talk.
Right.
That really motivated me a lot too, because a lot of people were saying, he's not going to ever be the same. Should he go ahead and retire? This, that, and another.
Right.
Like, this is nothing but a obstacle that's in my way that I have to overcome. I have to get through. I have to grind through it. So that was my whole approach, and it started that day. Like when I got to that locker room, my dad was at that game, and I remember him coming to the locker, coming down there, and I was talking to him, and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Now it's the moment that I have to accept it for what it is, and what are you going to do about it?
So did they tell you on the field, or did they get you to the sideline before they broke the news and say, AP, you tore your ACL?
Yeah, they took me to the sideline. When they did the test on the field, I knew then. I was like, okay, because it was moving way too much. And I could see the look on their face too. So they got me to the sideline and just to confirm, it was like, yeah, ACL, MCL. And I remember telling my dad, I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be better than I was before that same day.
But I mean, to say that, and everybody say, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. But hey, I don't know if you realize what you did. You come back in 8 months, you go 348 carries, 2,097 yards, which is the second most in a season. You win Offensive Player of the Year, MVP. You needed 209, you needed 208, the final game, to get the record. You get 9 yards short. Mm-hmm. I know you play that scenario in your head. That probably keeps you up at night as much as anything, because not only do I have the most rushing yards in the season, I'm the all-time. So which keeps you up more? Not getting that record or possibly not getting Emmitt's record? Because I know both of them weigh on your mind.
Yeah, they do. I do. They do. The one that weigh on my mind the most is not getting Eric Dickerson's.
Yeah, I thought so.
So because everything that I had to go through to get to that moment.
Right.
And to be just 8 yards away from it, a record that stood for so long.
Yeah.
Right. I was right there after our ACL and wasn't able to get it.
And the thing is, two Texas boys, ED's from Sealy, Texas. You're from Palestine, and here it is. Yep. Did you think you had an outside chance? Because 208 yards in the final game, knowing that you need to win that game. Mm-hmm. So in Green Bay, like, nah, we're not going to let them win this game, because if you don't win, you don't make the playoffs. So you had to win that game.
Yep. I remember coming into that game, and I was thinking, you know what? Let me not worry about the record. Let me take this approach. If it happens, it's meant to happen. If it doesn't, then it's not. Because I had a couple weeks prior, we played the Texans, came here and played. And I was focusing. I was like, you know what? I need to get by 175, by 200 against these guys to get myself closer.
Right.
And thinking, I was pressing. I ended up like 40-some yards, if that. And after that game, I told myself, you know what? I'm going to go out there and continue to do what I've been doing. I'm just going to play and let the chips fall where they may. So I actually went into that last game with that mindset. We need to win this game to make the playoffs. And if the record is meant to be broke, then I'll break it. That's why I was so surprised when I did the interview. She was like, so how you feel about being 8 yards short? I was like, 8 yards short? What? And she said,
you're like, I was that close?
I was like, oh.
So you didn't know you were that close. So they didn't keep, because normally in a situation like that, AD, they keep you abreast. Like, man, you need 50. Man, you need 75. Normally that's how so no one was telling you how close you were actually to because it's hard for me to see that they would have threw any passes. They're just going to keep feeding you the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one said anything to me. But that's the kind of approach I had. I was like, I don't want nobody saying nothing. I'm just gonna go out there and play, you know. But had I known,
if you had known, would you have been willing to sneak back in the game and try to get those 8?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was like, call that timeout. That ass run goes crazy. Call that timeout for me, man. Let me get another run in there.
Looking at your career, 14,820 yards. That's 5th most. 118 rushing touchdowns. That's 4th. You had an 8-game span in that season in 2012. 1,322 yards, which is the most over 8 games. You have the most 60-yard TD runs, 13. Tied for the most 50-yard runs in a single season, 7. Tied with the most 200 games over career with OJ, yourself and OJ. Derrick Henry coming for that one, I think. And a 3-time rushing champ. Of all the things that you've accomplished thus far, what record are you most proud of?
Man, that's a good one. I would say just climbing that all-time leading rusher list, you know, because there's a lot of guys on that list that I've passed that inspired me to, you know, to continue to play the game at a high level, you know. So to be in a position to pass guys like, you know, Terrell Davis, you know, LT, you know, OJ,
Jim Brown,
you know, it's just like Jerome Bettis. It's just like,
yeah,
you know. So that right there means the most to me for that reason.
And you might be. I don't know if there's going to be very many guys that's going to ever win a running back to ever win that award again, the MVP. It's a quarterback award now, AP.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, the guys throwing for 40 and 50 touchdowns, they're getting 3,550 and 50 and 5,000 yards. Unless somebody goes in today's game, I mean, can a running back, with the way teams throw the football, can someone actually go get 2,000? Maybe Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But that's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like to do this a lot. Give me your Mount Rushmore running backs. You only get to put 4 on Mount Rushmore. Of all the great running backs, I need to know who's on AP's Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Gotta go with Jim Brown.
Okay.
Gotta go with Jim Brown. Sweetness.
Walter Payton.
Barry Sanders.
3.
Ooh, that's tough.
That's 3.
That 4th one is tough, though.
Somebody go get left out. I don't know, Emmitt. I don't know if you're going to make it. ED, I don't know if you're going to make it. LT, I don't know. Oh, man, there's a lot of Texas boys on this thing. Ooh, LT from Texas. Earl from Texas. ED from Texas. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I want to put Emmitt Smith up there. I have to. I have to give him the respect where he's number 1. You know, no matter how it was done, like he's number 1.
What you mean? How with the? Oh, you talking about that offensive line that he had? They were good. They were really, really good.
Oh yeah. Just imagine if Barry Sanders had an offensive line like that.
No, I don't know. You know what? Sometimes I think I don't know if we'd have been able to see the Barry that we saw, because the Barry that we saw had to have a terrible offensive line because he needed to make 17 people miss in order for you to see all that. So just imagine Barry just running straight ahead. He's not Barry.
No, elusive like that. Okay, I can see that perspective.
Give me your top running backs today. Who does Adrian Peterson, if he's at home, he's watching Monday night, he's watching Thursday night, or he's playing them in a game, he's standing up watching, or he's looking at the Jumbotron?
Derrick Henry is one of those guys. I just love how physical he plays the game. Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
He's a guy that I like. Feel like he has some great potential. Dalvin Cook is a guy that I like as well for his size. He's physical, great speed, great vision. Yeah, I think that's probably it that I'll just, be sitting there I'll stand up and be like, okay, let me see what he got.
Right. Who has the best stiff arm, Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson?
I gotta give it to him right now. I feel like I got a good stiff arm, but some of his stiff arms I've seen, it's like, who? Did our cornerback so bad in our game, and Josh Norman had them leaning sideways. I think he got me right now.
So if I can say, okay, I want you to build the perfect running back, and I'm gonna say, here's some of the traits that I want, and I'm gonna say the first guy that comes to your mind: instincts.
I'll say myself.
Burst.
Dalvin Cook.
Elusiveness.
Who's elusive? We don't.
Man, there ain't but one guy gonna get that one. Barry.
Okay, I'm thinking you're talking about like current, like right now.
No. I want you to build. I want you to build a perfect running back, and so we're gonna take.
Okay.
What about vision?
Vision. I'll say sweetness.
Size.
Size. Let's put all this in a bite that like Jerome Bettis.
Okay, what about power?
Power, Earl Campbell.
Speed.
Chris Johnson.
Durability.
Oh man, Emmitt Smith.
That you can play 15 years, ain't never take no big hit. Ain't nobody get no shot on him. Can't nobody say I blew Emmitt up.
No.
You said in the past that you're the LeBron and Jordan of the NFL. What do you mean by that? Your dominance, your size, because like you said, you believe that you could have gone straight from high school. That's saying something. Because the NFL, this is a grown man's game.
Yeah.
Them grown men, you ain't playing for no books. You ain't playing for no training table. Men got wives. They got kids to feed. They got college tuition to pay down the road, mortgages. So see, if you lose your spot in college, you just go to the bench, you're still on the team. You lose your spot in the NFL, you're probably gone. Yeah. Somebody taking your job, they're taking food off your table.
Yeah. So when I made that statement, it comes from the standpoint of like talent.
Right.
The God-given ability.
Do you believe you're the most talented running back ever?
The most talented running back ever?
When you combine everything, size, speed, durability, athleticism.
I think I'm right there with Walter Payton. Yeah.
You believe he's one of the most talented?
Yeah.
The most talented.
Yeah, well, you can say
his size. He didn't have the perfect. He wasn't a big. What was Sweetness? What, 5'10", maybe 205?
Yeah. I would say like, okay, well, Bo Jackson is definitely, he was on a different level.
Yeah, Bo. When you look back at it, do you wish you had handled things differently in Minnesota? Because now that you look back at it, you probably should have stayed, maybe not asked for a trade. Do you think back like, man, you know what? I should have stayed my butt in Minnesota.
I think about that sometimes. And the thing is, I never like demanded a trade or asked for a trade. I remember when that season ended, when I had my exit meeting with those guys, and it was like, so towards the end of the conversation, they were like, so are you willing, like, is it something that you want to come back? And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind finishing my career here. And that's kind of how I left it. And
right.
Next time I heard from them, I was in San Antonio on vacation, and they had signed the Murray kid.
Right.
And that's when I knew it was okay. But I was okay with that. At that point, it was a couple of things that had transpired, and that we're over that now. But it was some things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and so I was at the point where I'm just like, you know what? If this is the end of the road, then I'm fine with that.
When it's all said and done, would you like to sign a contract and retire Viking?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt.
So looking back at your career, is there anything you would do differently? Or what were some, if they are some of the things you would like to do differently, what would they be?
You know, as far as football aspect,
Just your football.
You know, I can look back on a couple off seasons where, you know, I didn't really put in the work like I should have, and I was able to see, like a lot of people probably don't realize, but I was able to see how it affected me during the season. You know, so I would definitely change that, taking advantage of that. You know, being 14 years in now, I may look back because I'm getting towards the end of that road, and it's like,
Right.
man, wish I could have did some things different. Outside of that, you know, I've always tried to take care of my body and put the right things in my body. You know, I feel like at a younger, my first 4 or 5 years in the NFL, I think I took a lot of things for granted. As far as like really getting into that playbook and, you know, executing, you know, because I think that would have presented different opportunities for me within the offense.
So you believe you were too good for you were too good for your own good because things came so easy that you like, man, this is easy.
Yeah. I put in the work, but when it came to like being in different positions, like being in there on third down and being spread out, you know, those type of things, you know, I was just like, you know, I'm running the ball 300 times, so you know.
So
that mindset.
Who cares if I catch 25 passes or not?
Exactly.
So the next stop is going to be after your career is going to be Canton. What would that mean? That would be that, you know, obviously that's the culmination. What would that mean to you to go and have a bust in the halls of where the guys that you modeled your game, your heroes, and to know that you're sitting right next to them?
You know, I think that's the peak. You know, it doesn't get, you know, better than that. You know, in my mind, that and the Super Bowl is like right there. You know, the same level in my mind personally. But that's something that I also thought about when I was a youngster. Is, you know, being a Hall of Famer, being considered the best to ever play the game. So in my mind, it's like, okay, well, if that's the bar that I'm setting, then X, Y, and Z should follow.
Right.
And Hall of Fame is, you know, falls within that.
Man, well, good luck. You don't know what the future holds, but I hope it's bright for you as far as your NFL career. I know you want to continue to play and get closer to that record and eventually past Emmitt. So I wish you the best of luck along the way. And thanks for joining me today on Club Shay Shay, bro.
Right. Thanks for having me, Shannon. Appreciate it,
bro. Have a good one.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button to become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we always do something for two something.